you're right that there are people out there who will try to paint pictures with accounting that are something far from economic reality, and sometimes the rules of accounting themselves lead to that. I would say that when the accounting confuses you, I would just tend to forget about it as a company. I mean, it may well be intentional, and in any event, you don't want to go near it. We have never had any great investment results from companies whose accounting we regarded as suspect. I can't think of a one. Can you, Charlie?
No.
It's a very bad sign.
I made a short sale once that worked out well in a case like that.
No. It really, accounting can offer you a lot of insight into the character of management. And I would say there's a lot, you run into a fair amount of bad accounting. I used to call it creative accounting, but and you probably run into a lot more if it was allowed. But some companies have been able to push their auditors pretty far, and I would be very skeptical of anything that looks suspicious to you. I think there have been a couple of things written, but I can't think of where they've appeared, where people talk about the questions of what. Obviously, if some prepaid expense, deferred asset accounts start building up suspiciously high, and inventories look out of line, with sales and particularly the trend of them and all that, you want to look twice at companies like that. Life insurance, frequently that we see weak accounting in it. When you don't have a product where revenues and expenses are being matched up on something close to cash in the short term, you have the opportunity for people playing games with numbers. And some people have learned how to do that very well, and they've sometimes created long-lasting stock manipulation or promotion schemes that have enriched themselves where they've enriched the managers or the creators of it at the expense of the public over time. If you ever get suspicious about accounting, just go on to the next company. We read the reports. Now, Charlie and I were just talking about one the other day where we read an annual report of a large oil company, and the company, 100 pages, public relations people, lots of pictures, spent a fortune on it. And you can't find in that report what their finding cost per MCF or per barrel of oil was last year. That's the most important figure in an oil and gas company over a period of years, but every year counts. The fact it wouldn't even be discussed, the reason it wasn't discussed, it was absolutely terrible, but the fact it wouldn't even be discussed, and to the extent it was touched on, it was done in a dishonest manner. When we read things where we basically are getting dishonest messages from the management, it makes a difference to us. Like I say, in marketable securities, we can solve that by selling the stock, and it's not the same thing as buying the entire business. But I think you can learn a lot by reading the annual letters. I mean, for one thing, if it's clearly the product of some investor relations department or outside consultant or something of the sort, that tells you something about the individual. If he's not willing to talk once a year through a few pages to the people that gave him their money to invest, I mean, I've got some questions about people like that. So I like that feeling that I'm hearing directly from somebody who regards me as a partner, and you may not get it all the way, but when I get it 0% of the way, I don't like it. We've still bought into some, in marketable securities, we've bought into some extremely good businesses where we thought they were run by people we didn't really like very well. We didn't feel they could screw them up. Charlie?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That there are two things, the quality of the business and the quality of the management. And if the business is good enough, it will carry a lousy manager. And the converse case, where a really good manager gets in a really lousy business, you'll ordinarily have a very imperfect record. In other words, it's a rare person that can take over a textile business totally doomed, which was what Warren did in his youthful folly, and turn it into what's happened here. You should not be looking for other Warrens on the theory they're under every bush.
I figured it out in 20 years, though. I'll have to say that for myself. 20 years, and I finally figured out I was in the wrong business. But there are businesses. If you gave me first draft pick of all the CEOs in America and said it's your job to run Ford Motor now, or pick a company that's in a terribly tough business, I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's just too tough. They may get it solved, if they get cooperation from unions and a whole bunch of things, but it will not be solely in the control of the CEO who has that job. He is dependent on too many good things happening outside to say that he alone can get the job, even if he's the best in the world.